Hello, this is Gene Veno at the Susquehanna River Basin Commission, and today I'm joined by Brian Dabbs, who's the Energy and Environmental Policy Reporter at the National Journal in Washington, D.C. Brian previously covered the same topics at the Bloomberg News, and prior to that, he reported on U.S. trade policy and corresponded from East and North Africa. He has a bachelor's degree from Western State Colorado University and a master's in journalism from Georgetown. Thanks for being here today, Brian. I'm looking forward to our brief interview on COVID-19 and the impact on the environment. Hi, Brian.
Well, thank you so much for having me, Gene. It's a pleasure to be with you.
I reached out to you and Lizzie because of the many articles that the National Journal has been able to make available. And a little bit about your journal. It's a premier research and insight company committed to helping organizations effectively navigate the policies and laws in Washington. And I see that you serve over 1,000 government and business leaders. Is that correct?
Yes, sir. We do like to think of ourselves as kind of a turnkey operation where we give a lot of objective journalism, some very high quality journalism, as well as a lot of consultancy options for companies. So we do like to think of ourselves as something that will give you a great kind of look into the policy world in DC and help you to navigate it.
Yeah, and that's what I noticed. You also serve both the Hill and the White House, as many other firms in corporate government affairs. And I was looking at your menu of services. I mean, from presiding over a database of information and PowerPoints, which I've been able to view. Also, you provide a daily report on the different issues, hotline articles that reported and research. Plus, I want to welcome the listeners to view all of your stories on Brian Dabbs Stories. They should search you out. You have some very compelling stories on the energy and environmental issues as it's been impacted by COVID-19. And I want to bring up, if I may, this one article here that it said to me about what is the impact. If you could talk about this one slide that was in the presentation by National Journal. It's the EPA has suspended enforcement of environmental laws. Can you speak to that as it relates to this issue?
Yes, sir, absolutely. So this is something that's kind of taken the environmental community in DC to a certain extent by storm over the past couple of weeks. This was issued roughly 2 weeks ago, but there is a lot of opacity surrounding it still. So essentially, EPA has hit back at this notion that they are suspending all enforcement. EPA says that they're not seeking penalties on companies where non-compliance is a result of the pandemic. Certain outlets that have tried to follow up on kind of where the rubber is meeting the road on that front have not been able to get a hold of some more detailed information on specific waivers. So the thinking is that EPA is not enforcing certain violations of environmental regulations through some waivers, through temporary waivers, and they're not disclosing those waivers. So beyond that, there's not a great deal of detail, as I've said, but the backdrop being that this administration has really aggressively rolled back regulations to the plaudits of industry and a lot of people in the country. At the same time, the environmental community, Democrats writ large, have really excoriated the EPA for jeopardizing bedrock environmental laws and public health. So it's really a matter of perspective.
Well, I wanted to bring that one slide up only because it was published on your website. What is the website for the National Journal for others to see now that you've opened up a lot of the different collateral material that you've been publishing?
Well, thank you very much for pointing that out. Yeah, it's just nationaljournal.com. And we have a page, a portfolio within the site with all the free content related to coronavirus.
Well, there's this one report that just came out yesterday. It's from Goldstein and DeLuca. That's Zachary and Madison DeLuca. And it's Unlock the Premium Content of COVID-19, the Impact on Energy and Environment. And it has an overview of COVID-19 on the emissions and environment and the energy storage generation sector and the oil and gas industry. And I would make that available to many of the industry because it does give a compelling timeline of the events as it relates to the energy and environment. Before we end our interview, can you just give me an overview as to what do you think is going to happen in Congress when they return to a full session? Because right now, they're shut down as well, correct?
They are. And I think there are very tentative and unlikely plans to reconvene on Capitol Hill on April 20th. That, as I said, will likely not happen. But there's certainly being groundwork laid now for a phase 4 rescue package. Originally, lawmakers, particularly House Democrats, had planned to tailor that towards more forward-thinking recovery type of programs, such as infrastructure. And now it appears as though there's a pivot back to kind of more emergency relief akin to the phase 3 package.
See.
Well, it's something that your readers might be, or your viewers might be interested in. Democrats have promoted clean drinking water initiatives as kind of a fundamental part of their suite of infrastructure proposals. That would include big boosts to the clean water and drinking water state revolving funds. So right now there's a hang up over a elevation of the funding authorization for small business loans.
Yes.
And that has been bitter over the past 24 hours.
Yes.
But it's a little bit unclear how it will proceed at this point, but there will be another package coming down the pipeline relatively soon.
Well, Brian, I want to thank you and all of the journalists at the National Journal for keeping not just those in DC up to date, but nationally and internationally. You've had some compelling articles. The Susquehanna River Basin has been able to view many of the different informational topics that pertain to clean water and various issues as it relates to the river basin and the watersheds. And I just want to thank you for your time today and your continued effort on behalf of various issues as relates to the environment and energy. And before we leave, would there be anything you want to say going forward as to your work and what you have planned in the next week?
Well, I appreciate you giving me that opportunity, and it's been great to speak with you. Yeah, we really hit at this pandemic from a coverage standpoint from all angles. So I would encourage people to come check out our coverage. As you said and I've said, that there's a lot of free content now. Typically, we offer pretty limited free content, so I would certainly encourage people to check it out. But more importantly, really, I just hope everybody stays safe and healthy, and we'll persevere through this.
We will. And Brian, it's been a pleasure meeting you on this program. And please send my best to Lizzie and all of the staff at the National Journal. We continually read all your articles, and we thank you for your excellent reporting during this time that is impacting the nation and world with COVID-19. It's been a pleasure. Stay safe. Talk to you soon.
It's been a pleasure talking to you, and and hope the best for you and all of your viewers.
You will.
Be well.